Hello, everyone. I'm Samantha Anderson, and I'm here with Superintendent Dr. Deb Ham, and we're here to answer any questions you may have, going over the last few weeks. As always, feel free to leave them in the comments section. And if we aren't live anymore, so if there isn't a little live box in the upper left-hand corner, feel free to just message them to us or email info@usd373.org just to make sure that they don't get lost in the comments. So Dr. Ham, we already have a question rolling in. This one asks, any thoughts of any new changes if the stay-at-home order is lifted on May 3rd, if it's lifted?
Well, the executive order that initially closed schools would also have to change, because if people remember correctly, the stay-at-home order did come into effect after the governor had already made the decisions about closing schools. So there would have to be multiple changes made before anything would be done. The feedback that we are receiving at this point is not to expect any changes in the governor's executive order that closed schools, and that schools would remain closed through the end of the school year.
Okay. And again, like last week, if anyone has a nice shout out they'd like to share or say something about the staff that have been working so hard, feel free to leave that in the comment section too, and we'll read them out, and then I'll make sure I email them to our staff. That way they can hear that their hard work is appreciated. So there have been some changes to our food service. We talked about it last week, but just in case people missed it, can you give us an update on that?
Right. We did change from every day delivery of meals to twice a week. So on Mondays, they're delivering meals for Monday and Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, they're delivering meals for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So we will continue that through the next several weeks until there's any changes made in either the stay-home order or in the situation here in our district. So.
Okay. And I'm going to answer my own question real quick. One question we get a lot is some families get phone calls and texts, but they also want emails. And if that is you or your family, just shoot us an email at info@usd373.org, and we'll get that figured out for you why you aren't receiving the emails. We also had some confusion a little bit earlier today on Facebook, and I just want to clear any misconceptions. There was an individual that seemed concerned that we weren't going to continue to pay our food service staff. Can you just clear that up for us?
Oh, absolutely. The board has already taken action on that, and it was part of our plan, our waiver that we had to submit to the state that has been approved by the State Board of Education. Was also part of the legislation that is allowing all of this to move forward. We have, in all of those things, approved the payment of staff through the end of the school year, so through whenever their employment with the district would normally come to an end in the school year for their normal hours. So whatever hours they normally work, they would be paid for those hours through the end of their expected time in the district. Not every employee works 12 months a year. Some employees only work a portion of the year when school is in session. So they would only be paid for the hours that they're normally working.
Okay. And I, just as a reminder as well, you probably got an email or a phone call or a text asking you to fill out the continuous learning survey, and we would really appreciate it if you did that. Dr. Ham, could you explain, why that survey is so important to the district?
Well, again, we utilized information from a variety of surveys that we did when we started this, and that information went into our plan that we put together for how we were going to deliver instruction through the remainder of the school year. And now that the plan is in place and we have finished 3 weeks of the plan, we want to now check and say, how are we doing and what suggestions would you have now that you've been doing this for a while for us to make improvements so that between now and the end of the school year, we can make those improvements and have them in place and possibly meet the needs better than we currently are.
Okay. And again, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section. And then have there been any new updates that you'd like to share about maybe continuous learning or where we are on that?
Well, right now we are, again, implementing our plan. And so at this point, our work is focused on what are we doing about finishing. So in 4 weeks, when students finish, what are the things that we need to have in place for a variety of things, such as collecting textbooks if a child has taken home a textbook. Many of our high school and middle school students have textbooks at home because they need to have those in order to do the assignments that they're working on. Also, technology. Are we or are we not going to collect that? So we have to have a plan in place for doing all of those things that will allow us to do them while practicing social distancing, making sure that we're keeping our staff safe and our students safe. So we're having to consider what will that look like. So right now, those are the plans that we're focused on at the district office. And for administrators, those of us that are planning those things. And then the teachers, of course, are implementing their plan. And they also have to close out classrooms. We gave them a very short amount of time to get in their classroom, get the things that they would need to have for teaching, but that's not how we normally end a school year. There's a lot of putting things away and sort of organizing and purging that goes on. So we will also be starting next week with teachers in buildings, again, following social distancing, to kind of pack up their classrooms and ready them for cleaning over the summer months.
Okay. Someone asked for clarification purposes, what are the attendance policies for students, in regards to continuous learning? Again,
it's not as easy as having a hard and set rule of you have to be here at 8 o'clock in the morning and you go home at 3:10. So we're trying to take every family's situation into consideration. Students need to participate, and that is going to look different from grade to grade. It's going to look maybe slightly different from teacher to teacher. So what we're counting on right now is what are students turning in? Are they making contact with their teachers? Are their teachers making contact with them? Those kinds of things. And that's how we're keeping track of that. So some teachers are checking in with their kids multiple times in a week, and some teachers may be checking in with students once a week or having some kind of a group that's meeting once a week. So it really does depend on the teacher, but every teacher is keeping track of that. Again, the compulsory attendance law is still in place, and we have to follow that. So we have to, in some way, track attendance of students throughout these weeks that we're still in school.
Okay. Jennifer just let us know that she really has to thank us and all the staff in the district. We've been amazing. Her son struggled with getting work in. His teacher and staff have really stepped up. You guys are amazing, which is very nice. And if you let me know who his teacher is, either email it to us or just write it in the comments. I'll make sure I pass that along to him or her. And then she also asked, when is the last day of school? That's May 15th.
May 15th will be the last day of school.
And then is that the same for seniors or is it different?
No, seniors' last day is May 8th. So they finish up a week earlier.
All right. And again, if anybody else has any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments section. And we'll give you a couple of minutes to do that. We're slowing down on questions, which means hopefully everybody feels like this is their new normal for a while. But we're always happy to stop in, go on Facebook, and answer as many questions as you'd like. We just got. Someone wants to know when enrollment is for next year. It's right now, right?
Right. We have online enrollment. If you are currently have students in our system, you can go ahead and enroll now or pre-enroll for next school year and get that part of the paperwork all taken care of.
And then May 15th is a work day, though, for staff, right? We had that question.
That's a great question. I think we're going to look at having everyone finished on that day. So technically, the teacher's work day is on May 18th. I think we're looking at trying to have everyone finished up on May 15th. There may be some teachers that are not quite yet done with grades or whatever they need to have finished. But normally, May 18th would be the day teachers would be closing up their classrooms, those kinds of things. And we're kind of working ahead on that aspect of that right now. So a decision hasn't formally been made, but that's what I think is going to happen.
Okay. Your crystal ball, that's what it's telling you.
Yeah.
Someone wants to thank the staff at Santa Fe. The teachers have really done an amazing job communicating with her students. And then someone else wants to say that Miss Unruh from Walton, Mrs. Duncan, and Mrs. Cooper have done amazing. They have been understanding and always checking in on how the kids are doing. It's very appreciated. Mr. Cheeks even got in on one of the calls. She says that this just shows how supportive and how much he really cares about the kids. Thank you, which is so great. Oh, and then we had another question. Is there a deadline on enrollment?
That is a very good question, and I don't believe so. What we try to do every year because of planning is to have as many of our families that are returning complete enrollment before the end of school. So we will be looking at that. I'm sure there will be continual reminders that will go out to remind parents to do their pre-enrollment. But it really helps us in planning for classes, how many students are returning, so that we can make sure for teacher placement and those kinds of things. So we really encourage all of our parents to finish before the end of the school year. Otherwise, it makes it more difficult in planning for next year.
Yep. On the info we sent out, the tentative deadline is May 15th. So. And then another comment, the tech department helped another student help get her Chromebook working. And she says, thank you. I know our tech department works very, very hard, so that'll be appreciated. She says this was a lot smoother than anticipated, which is good.
That was good.
Does anybody else have any questions? Oh, what if you don't have a computer to enroll your student? What should you do?
We will have some time a little bit later on in the summer where you can get some assistance from folks at the district office. But certainly if you need help, if you will email that info at usd373.org, we can set up a time for you to come into the district office and complete the enrollment there.
Okay. All right, we'll give you a couple more minutes to get some more questions in, and if there aren't any more, we'll end it for tonight. Now, with parents, if they're new to the district, they can still enroll for this school year. Is that right?
Yes, if you're new to the district, you can enroll your student for this year. wherever your student normally goes to school, if you'll contact that school, and again, those numbers are set to roll over to a person, so you should get a response that way. They can help you go through the enrollment process, and we'll go ahead and get you enrolled, get you a Chromebook, those kinds of things, get you set up in a class, all of that for the next month.
All right. And Don says, thanks for what you guys are doing for young people. So it's all about the young people. All right. I'm going to give everybody about 30 more seconds to sneak in any more questions they may have. And if you don't get your question answered, if you think tonight at 12 a.m., oh gosh, I didn't get this question answered, just feel free to shoot us an email at info@usd373.org. I'm a heavy sleeper, so I probably won't get back to you till the morning, but we will answer your questions as quickly as we can. Oh, and then we did have one more. Any updates on the menu for meal planning?
Oh, I know that they were working on that. They were having some difficulty making sure that they could get all of the supplies, and right now what we are doing is using up some of the food that we would have served in our buildings if we were still having school. So as we're using that up, it will be easier for them to provide a menu, because not all of the meals are as I understand it, not all of the meals that are at each building are exactly the same. They're somewhat the same, but not exactly the same. So there's not a set menu.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's all the questions we have. And again, just feel free to shoot us an email or message us if you have more. Thank you so much, Dr. Ham, for taking the time to be here. And thank you to everybody who watched and asked questions and shared some positivity. We really appreciate it. Have a great night, and just make sure you wash your hands.
Stay healthy.